if I can
this?
share.
I got something up here in the top. What's that?
What's it say?
That's it. What says that it?
You are live, Sawmill. Ooh. So,
I just, I
Charlie,
just,
if
I just pushed you out into all the people that are subscribed to me.
wow,
Yeah.
cool. I screwed up. Yeah, just subscribed. Need you.
There is
I'm
a
seeing
way to do that.
you. Well, I'm running live, Philip. So when you came on, there was 31. I think I'm running. Mine shows live. It's at 42. And now that Charlie pushed it out, we'll see what it's 9:30 at night, guys. I've been up since 6. What are you doing to me?
You got to go to 10:30.
Hey, how late were you on? I heard a little squeaky squirrel tell me you guys were on till 3 in the morning on
Now,
Friday.
you mean what, Friday? I finally shut it down at 11. And then
Oh, because I was gonna say you have to get up for work on Saturday.
it was about midnight when I said, "Look, guys, I got to go. See y'all later."
Oh, there's DC. There you are, DC. Finally, you show up. Separate channels. Yeah,
ADC
right,
Dave.
Philip.
Now, Nancy, when you look on your thing,
Yeah.
you see like there's like a little hoop in the corner,
Yes. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
ring,
Link. You. Mm-hmm.
that link up there. I think it'll show up on these when they jump in. That link shows up on the people's names. I'm not sure.
Guest destination from. Yes, I see. I can do this too, but I don't really. I might do that. See about Friday. Maybe I'll try and store moving in. Okay, DC. Hi, DC. Where were you? Oh, so DC. I decided to rename the color, the bee colors. I want to do. I want to do pink and purple to replace yellow and white, and then red, green, blue. But I gotta figure.
Newly hatched queen. Now that'd be you need to wait,
Oh,
Norman, at least 2 weeks before she gets mated, and that depends on the weather. If you're getting a lot of weather, like a lot of rain, you
yeah.
might as well add another week to it because that's what I've been up against.
70 degrees and sunny, and you can't count days that aren't set or no wind. 70 degrees, sunny, and no wind, and you
Yeah,
can't count days that have not of the if those three things. 2 weeks maybe, right? So you can get 2 weeks if it's sunny and no wind for her to get mated. There's 15 to 20 days. It's more like it.
Yeah, I've seen up to almost a
So it's a
month.
month from the time you put those cells in. By the time you do your
well,
walkaway split, that's
I'm talking about when you got I hand you a virgin when she hatches.
hatched.
You know,
Yeah.
A cell.
No,
You mean a
virgin.
cell?
no, the
Nope, a
virgin. When the
virgin.
virgin comes out of that cell, it'll take 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes longer.
I see that. No
Yeah.
life beekeeper. See there. It comes up with a in the chat.
Oh, right.
See the little link.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right,
I'm gonna see if
that's coming. That's coming in either
yeah,
me or somebody else.
Yeah. The
that's
reason
true.
is when a queen emerges from the cell, she doesn't fly to get mated till 4 to 6 days after the day she emerges.
Right.
Right.
And then after she gets with all the brood gets mated, she cannot lay eggs for another 4 to 6 days to process all the semen that she just received. So you have actually almost 2 weeks right there where she's either not flying or she can't lay eggs. And then sometimes with weather, she doesn't fly out like till 10 days or whatever. Then you add another. That's why it's at least 2 weeks.
Long time. Just give it longer. When you think there's enough, give it another week.
And if you got some bad weather, give them 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
just pull a frame in the middle and see if there's eggs, and then put it back.
Exactly, DC. Her body's got to harden up, and she actually grows she probably gets 30% bigger, would be my guess. The time she emerges and when she flies.
Watch Bees in the Weeds with Kent Williams. He's the guy that taught me how to graph back in 2019. And he is the real master beekeeper. He's the only one that I know that I could call that, give that guy that name. And he'll go in the first 2, maybe 3 videos, because it's a 5 or 6 part video session. He goes into some details that about that. The first thing I picked up on is when he hatches a virgin, she stays in a candy cage for a week. And then he puts her on day 5 or 6, I think it is, into that mating box. Why? Because she will fly out that day because
Yep.
She does her hardening up.
she
She
did
hardens
everything.
up.
She got her ovaries up,
Yep.
developed. She's got her exoskeleton hardened. She's got her
Yep.
wings hardened and dried and whatever. And she's ready to
Strengthened.
go.
Yep.
As long as
Right.
she's got good weather, he drops
And
that
day
cage.
5 is right in the middle of the 4 to 6 days. So it should be flying that day or the next day.
Yep.
But
Huh.
I've noticed in my, I haven't been rearing queens for the last 3 years, so I got back into it this year, and I've learned quite a bit by listening to like Ryan Williamson, who will be on my show Friday night, and
Ooh.
he's a queen breeder. He does
Yeah.
VHS queens, and he is really trying to develop his own line, and he has quite a he really tests a lot. He knows where his queens are, what they're doing. But anyway,
So yeah, in a flow.
I found out,
in a-
like you say, a week later, but if they're 1 or 2 days old, you can open up the candy cage. Let's say you're going to make up a mating box or put them in another queen or another hive. She'll just walk on in there. You wait a week, look out, just like Mark Miller advised me. She'll go. I had one here this
She'll
past
fly away.
Saturday. She was a week old. She walked out, she walked down, walked right back up on top of the bars and flew away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man. And I said, the best thing to do for me is to put that cage in. It's got candy in it. I just had a girl talk to her tonight. She said the candy was gooey because it was hot this week. And she took the candy out. Well, she didn't. I don't get it, but it's like, people, can't you figure out how to run a JZ Beezy cage? Don't you know what the plastic cork is? Don't you know that you fold, that bends over on one side and the hinge, the candy cage side hinges on the opposite direction? It's like, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's very simple. But, for that situation, if it's gooey like that, the candy was gooey in the cage and the bees were in there. All right, well, then go in there. She had it rubber band to a frame, pop open the plastic cork, make sure it's open enough to where they can walk out, close the hive back on up, come back in a day. I'm sure they'll be all outside into the hive. So
Yeah, DC, what DC's saying. So DC's up in the northwestern part of the country. So right, a warmer dryer would indicate his bees would want to get out and get moving, I would think. And then if you're in a flow, it might be a little quicker. So it all depends on, what's going on too.
That's why I say 4 to 6 days. It could be as quick as 4 days, and it could be as long as 6 days.
Now that I'm in flow, mine were quick this round. We put him in
Yeah.
Thursday.
Clay said he had one fly off and land on the other hive. Well, mine flew off of a mating box, went down on a little weed. I grabbed her in the weed. I had her in my hand like that, and I'm trying to open it up to grab her, and then she's gone.
And then
And
you do this acting like an idiot in your yard grabbing.
So Nancy, that queen I lost last week, she was only 2 hours old. So I knew she crawled into that hive. She had to.
Yeah. Right.
It was the only hive open, and she was sitting right on it, on the edge.
Mm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, I've been putting attendants in for people and, that kind of stuff. And the lady called today and she said, well, the attendants or somebody, there were bees in the cage dead. And I'm like, well, what did you do? Well, she dug all the candy out and the queen was in there because I got everything I sell is marked. And I said, well, then she walked out. You didn't see her dead in the cage, did you? No. Well, she's out in the hive someplace. You got to go. If it was a nuke or 5 or 6 frames of bees, pick them up the frame and see if you can find her. If you want to be that curious, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
Makes
me
you
and my
wonder why.
experience and stuff like that. I just feel like people, where y'all been at?
Yeah. Where's the common sense? I know.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, and maybe I shouldn't run my mouth, but I
Eh,
just,
I know, Charlie. It gets a little. I know.
it's
I
just
know.
like,
So I get frustrated too with some. It's like get a mentor. You know what I mean? Like you can't just. This is not
that's
something
hard.
you can just
That's
wing on your.
hard to find a mentor. I will have to say that. But if they're 2 days old, freshly hatched, I just walk them on in. And everybody, oh, that ain't
Yeah,
no
but
good.
this polished. Okay, so it takes a while. Like that's not something that 3 4 year beekeepers gotta know to look like that. That's not something that just jumps out at you. That takes a
I
lot
don't
of
know. I
years.
couldn't tell you what a polished cell looks like. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's hard. Like polished cells. Yeah, that's not something people are gonna see. Or I mean, that takes a long time to see that. So yeah. Oh, here
Clay's
Clay's
going to
gonna
wholesale
wholesale
his nukes.
snooks.
Well, that's why I quit selling nukes, Clay. After so many years of it wasn't well, partially the people that were getting the nukes, like be here on time, be here at a certain time. I'm not supposed to have to work around your schedule. You work around my
Yeah,
schedule and you work
yeah,
around the bee schedule. And they don't get that until
yeah,
after, until they really commit themselves to beekeeping because you're a farmer. If you're a dairy farmer, I don't care what you're doing. That cow gets milked at 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Whether
yeah,
you're sick or what, you're going to crawl yourself out there to milk the cow. Same thing with bees. You can be a little bit more flexible with bees, but no, or
mine
DC.
was
I never did a deposit thing. And then the other part of raising nukes is you'll take orders and then you wind up, hey, I got a catastrophe on my hands where I can't supply you with bees. Then that makes me look
yeah,
bad. And I've had that happen to me once.
yeah.
So
It's
for
hard.
me,
It that's
I get real stressful about that, worrying about that kind
mhm.
of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? The money it isn't all that worth all that great. And I got to looking at it the last couple of years. I'm like, hand me the money. Here's the honey. See you later. Bye.
Yeah,
And and uh and then I'm like, okay, I can manage my, if a hive dies, well, okay, it died. I'll manage that problem, you know. Whereas if a nuke dies, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? That thing was sold. I got to do something quick. So I don't do that anymore. I don't have that stress load anymore. And it's so much nicer as a beekeeper. So
yeah,
I downsized to where this year last year I was going to go to 14 and decided to go to 16 honey hives. Went to 16 honey hives and 12 nukes. And then this year I said, you know what? I don't think I need 12 nukes for my own backup. So I said, okay, let's do 8 nukes and 18 hives. So that's what I did. So I'm growing several of those hives up for next year. So now my main thing is now if we can ever get into the hives, Last Saturday, I had a little bit of time. I think I went through 7 hives. I am
DC,
working on
I
getting
think.
all my queens updated to 2025 queens for next spring. And
I think we ebb and flow, Charlie. We ebb and flow. Some years we sell bees, some years we sell honey. Some years we sell queen, some years we sell honey. Like it ebbs and flows, you know.
queen,
I'm
I'm
rebuilding.
yeah, but my main thing is,
Hey,
guess what?
Michael.
I can do honey by myself. I can take care. I might have, and I got a neighbor of mine that I help him out. I mentor him. He helps me with his back as far as lifting my honey supers for me and helping me get them into the house. Because there's, if 2 of us can get them in my house on each time we bring them in, a whole lot easier. Because I just can't walk into the house. There's a set of stairs. If I can back a truck up like to a loading dock and he can hand me a super and I walk right in and drop it into a holding thing, it's so much easier and nicer. So I got that little bit of help there. So I have to worry about my honey hives. If something happens to them, that's my problem. I don't have to worry about the public. And then when it comes to queens, queens is what would you call it? You only work queens for about 3 months or so, and you're done. And queens are lightweight, simple to do. I enjoy it. It's of course it's new. It's back. It's sort of new to me. It's an old new thing. I like a challenge. And as I tell people, when you graft, that's a game between you and the bees. Who wins? Did the beekeeper do a good enough job to graft and you get a 90% success rate, or did you get a 40% success rate? So it's a skill set that I like to hone to where I'm really good at it. And then by doing that this year, I've learned a few things. I've watched Ryan Williams. All right. I learned how to bank virgins. I learned to make things more successful. I have an incubator. And now this year, like we said, it was a lot of cold, wet nights, a lot of in 40s at night. So I set it up. Originally, it was on Thursday nights when they would hatch. I was grafting on a Saturday. They were coming due on a Thursday. I said, okay, let's get rid of that idea. Let's graft on a Monday and they come due on a Saturday when I have more time. And I always, that's 6 days. Cells are capped. Put them in the incubator. I had a bunch of cold nights, so I keep them in the incubator. I used to let them hatch in the incubator. And if they hatch in the middle of the night, they might starve to death. And I've had them do that. So
Feed them, Charlie. I always put food in all my cells.
I've been down that road, Tom. I put the darn, what do you call it, crystallized honey on there and
And
all that
just
stuff. And you know what?
a
The
little
best
bit of
way to
honey
do
and a
it
little bit of
is,
water. That's all they need. Just
well,
a
I've
little
been there,
touch.
done that, and I've just have never been successful. So what did I do? Through watching Williamson in Virginia, I'm going to do it the natural way. Let the bees take care of the bees. I got my easy peasy cages. I incubate until about a day or two before, let's say Thursday evening. If I got time, I take the cells. Now what I'm doing is day 6 is Saturday. I take the cells out of that hive. I put them in easy peasy cages. I put them in the incubator. Come next Friday, before they hatch Thursday, usually Thursday evening. Thursday evening, I will take those cells out of the incubator, put them in a banking frame that are designed for those easy peasy cages, which I bought that, put them back in that cell builder. They will hatch out Friday night into Saturday. Bees will feed them right away.
Hey, Charlie, why go to the incubator then? I've basically skipped the incubator and just let them hatch right out into the cell builder in the cages, and they don't starve because they're being fed by by the bees. Am I still on? Everybody's locked up.
Yeah, you can put the cell, just put the cell in each one.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you could skip the incubator and just go right into your what do you call it,
Your,
your hive. But
your splits.
yeah, they'll take care of the cells right there. And they'll feed them when they hatch. But
You lost
I
them.
like, yeah, I don't know what happened there. But when I did some grafting, but the best thing I found that happened to me is as soon as I had capped cells, I would put the cages on them and then just put them right back in the hive, and I'd let them hatch out in the hive, in the cages. And then once they're hatched out, I put them in their splits and their stuff.
Yeah. I grafted you once or twice in the spring and once and twice this time of year. But
Yep,
this year I didn't graft the somersault tips because I had three hives. Last 2 years I've had one hive swarm, and this year I had three. And I cut cells. I cut 25 cells out of three hives.
it's a nice way of
Where'd
grafting.
Charlie go?
He
I don't think
dropped
he liked
off.
what I was saying.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't think he liked what I was saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, come on now. Rodney
There's,
Middleton. Hi, Rodney.
yeah, hey Rodney. We were saying that you could put the cells as soon as they were capped, you can put them right in your split. Now you can put them in the incubator
Yeah, yeah,
in an easy peasy
yep.
cage.
I was putting I was putting the cage, the hair rollers over them, and then putting them back into
Thanks, Roy.
my
Good night.
my cell starter, only because I wanted to see which ones had hatched or emerged.
Oh, hi, Brian. Flower Street.
Because
Okay.
the problem that I was running into, I did try one year putting the cells right in there, and I had cells that never developed. In other words, they never emerged.
Well,
And
I
and
meant
so
one's already capped.
oh
Right.
no, no, no. I'm talking about ones that have capped. But what happened is I had a few of them that never emerged after they were capped.
Right.
And here it is, I spent the time putting a split together, and no virgin ever emerged, and then that split was just kind of wasted.
Right.
So
Yeah, you
I didn't want to do splits unless I was putting a virgin queen in there.
right.
Oh,
You can
what's
wait to
this?
day,
The jacket
you can
removal.
wait to day 13, and then the chances of dying in the cell are significantly less.
True, true. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I didn't screw up. In other
Right.
words,
Right.
they capped it, and it ended up being just a garbage cell. And I'm doing this small quantities. I'm doing this like less than 10 cells or something. But hey,
Right.
when you're running 10 or 15 hives, that's more than enough cells.
Hey, Brian. I want to say hi to
Yeah,
Brian. He just jumped on.
we know where he was tonight. We know where Brian was. Just teasing. Yeah, yellow jacket removal. Ugh, that sounds freaking scary. And up here, I mean, we just wait till the first hard frost and then they're gone. And they won't
Yeah.
build. Is this true? I heard this. Is it true that the yellow jackets won't build a nest at the same place? They won't like they go to a new place every year. They won't if you leave it, they won't come back. Unlike a honeybee who will smell the pollen, nectar, honey, blah blah, and want to be there again, the yellow jackets don't come back. Is that true? Somebody know? Rodney, is that true? Someone who's versed in yellow jackets. I like yellow. The only reason I like yellow jackets in my yard is they tell me the condition of my colonies. If I have yellow jackets that are being able to get in the front door and stay in there, I know there's an issue. And I want to figure it out. Usually it's mite pressure at that time. But I like the yellow jackets to tell me what the condition of my colonies are, and they'll tell you.
I found out the hard way that yellow jackets will destroy your apples on your apple trees too.
Well, what?
Yellow jackets will bore holes into your apples if you have apple trees,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm pretty sure they live in there or something, because you'll have apples that will have yellow jackets and sitting in these holes,
Yeah.
and yeah, they'll make a mess out of your apples if you have a hive nearby.
Oh,
Found,
yeah.
found that out last year.
I usually
like
have to kill a nest or two in my property every year, or the foxes do it for me. Foxes
Oh,
find the ones that I don't find.
huh. I never associated. So we have a lot of fox in the area here.
Fox or a skunk?
There's nothing that's going to get them here. Um,
Yeah, I have a lot of
so I never.
foxes in
Huh.
my neighborhood. And skunks now this year. You saw my little video I put out a
Yeah,
couple days ago?
I agree with the part they're cute, and as a young kid, we had some baby skunks near us, and I wanted in the worst way to catch one and keep it, but you know, I looked at, because I think someone said you can, a vet will descent them or whatever, and like no vet
Yeah.
Yes.
no vet around here would touch them. And
Well,
Yeah. I'm going to fill the hole in later on this fall once they leave their little hole nest.
yeah, they're real cute
right,
cute until
Brian.
they
So
spray your
this is what
dog.
I was talking about. If you have yellow jackets going in, you know you have an issue because they're going to find your weak mite, high mites, your weak colonies. If they're going in, you better combine in the late, combine or do fix something. You got something to fix if they're getting in. Now, yes, and they do run a little colder. They're able to fly earlier.
Yeah.
But those guard bees still should be there, running them right back. If I see a yellow jacket go in, I want to see it come out within a split second. If it goes in and
Right.
has time to mess around in there, you got problems.
Yeah, one of my
Yeah, so
hives
Bruce
last.
Brown, this is what I've heard from guys that you might as well leave it because they won't come back. Though the queen
Right.
won't in this spring, the whole process, they won't come back to
Yeah, the
that
new
particular
queens will
location.
find a new home because they don't even know where the old home came from.
Yeah. Okay. I saw somebody else come on too. Oh, Highland Honey. Hi. I saw him come on.
Oh, yeah, Highland
They,
honey. Yep.
they, them, he, she. I'm not sure who. Highland Honey. I forget the name. Sorry. Some names I remember, but it's been enough years now. But so I have Bill Gardner's Shenandoah Bee Supply. He sponsors my channel. So I do a little advertising for him. Hi Highland, Shona.
Yeah, Shona.
Hello. Cool. I didn't know that. So yeah, so Bill you know, sponsors me. So I try to keep him up on the
If it's
well,
that
okay.
cold,
Yeah, Brian. But you're not, I don't think you're not gonna be that cold. Like if they're in cluster, those yellow jackets
there's
are
no yellow
but
jackets.
I don't know Colorado. You're a mile high. I don't know. But here I'm not in a they're not in a cluster. They're not
This
clustering at that.
if if they're clustering and there's yellow jackets, I don't have yellow jackets around. Nothing's around because
Right.
we've had a frost or a freeze already, or
Yeah.
close to it.
Right, but he's in Colorado, so he might have a little different situation than we do down here, Tom.
Yeah, that's true. And you might have slightly different yellow jackets than we have.
Yeah, there might be another species that doesn't, or they don't get a hard, because when we get a hard frost, now just not just a frost, but a hard frost where it's, I forget the term. I forget, there's certain,
30,
has to
32
be a certain,
degrees.
but for an X amount of time, like there's a time at 32 for a hard frost. Uh, there's a time that has to be at 30 below 32 or more than that for a certain amount of time to be a hard. So a hard frost here for me is when I look out and everything that was green is now black. It's not just a touchy frost where you see a little crystals on the grass. It's anything that was green is now dead. That's a hard frost. And after
Yeah,
that, then the yellow.
I see what Brian's saying. In the first hour or two in the morning, the bees, since it's cooler out, the
Yeah.
bees aren't active yet. The yellow jackets are 100%
Yes.
active
Yes. And,
before it
and
warms
that's
up.
true. But I don't want to see them going in my colony. If they go in my colony, I want to see them come right back out again. Hold on, my tea's ready. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll go in and then 2 seconds later, 3 seconds later, the bees will push them back out, even on a cooler morning. Yeah, I've seen that, Brian, but it's not very. That probably only lasts for a week or two in my area, and then we'll have a cold enough night where the yellow jackets are gone. Yeah, they might get a little bit of honey or resources out of the hive, not much. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't worry about it too much because it's a very short period.
We have carpenter bees around our yard, and one year I opened up the hive and a carpenter bee just flew right into the top of the hive. And the particular time it flew into the hive, it was covered in
There
bees.
we go.
So it
There
flew
we
right in.
go.
It flew right into
Yeah,
Thanks,
the nest.
Highland.
28 degrees.
That's what I was looking for. I knew that there was some stipulation for that. Tom, you know what I'm thinking about too? You know how you're running the warm way? You're
Yes.
running the warm way. I'm curious to see what yellow jackets and pests do with that. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
And I do another thing too. My entrance has a block, a 1 inch block inside that the bees know they have to go in 1 3/4 inches and then they can go out to the sides. But all yellow jackets, when they go in, they think the entrance is at the front and it's really an 1 3/4 inches back. They will not make it back out. Even it even stops robbing bees,
Yeah.
robbers' hives. It works
So
good.
is that similar to that hive gate perhaps where it was blue and they went in and then they had to go deep and then up or something? Remember that the guy from
Yes, that's the same principle. So when anything goes in that hive, they think the entrance is at the front, and
yeah.
it's back farther.
You know what I did one time? So I was at the point where I couldn't keep buying trinkets. It was back year 4 or 5 when I was still buying trinkets. And I thought I can't continue. So what I did was I took an old inner cover and I put the inner cover, I put the bottom board, and I put an inner cover, and then box number 1. So they had to go, the bees figured it out very quickly. They had to go all the way in and then up. And that really stopped robbing for me. And then I cleaned up my act. It was the robbing was because of my beekeeping skills. Like I was messy. And then once I honed, what?
We've been going for 3 hours.
Oh, geez. but I honed my skills so that the robbing is less because I became a better beekeeper, and I also let my grass grow up in the front too, which also helps. But Barnhill Bee, hi.
Hi, Barnhill
Oh,
Bees.
DC. Yeah, DC, we're running on Charlie's, Tom's, and mine. So if you can't see other people's comments, it's because you're on a different you're not on
Right.
you're seeing it through my channel, but the comments, yeah, I'm on 3 channels. Yes.
I'm ready to
Yes,
hop.
it's
I'm ready
pumpkin
to end
time.
my side, Nancy. 3 hours
Cool.
is
Oh,
long
right.
enough.
You were on last night. I get it. I get it.
I was on last night too.
I'm hitting a stride here. I'm going into what's it called? What do you call it when you get the second wind?
You're on overtime.
Right. I'm ready to crash.
Yeah, I made my night tea this time along, so I'm not going to be too much gone. But yeah, Charlie laughed. I guess he gets up early tomorrow too. So I don't know. But anywho,